Okay, hello everyone. It is a very tired Umbra who has seen a lot of different comments, some people asking certain stuff. So before we get into the Pixel Remaster collaboration, which tonight, for sake of simplicity, I'm just using Google Translate for a visual aid of the number of upgrades, because if nothing else, I'm just way too busy lately. And while I am going to bring you the information, I am going to do it in a relatively simple fashion for me that is also at least somewhat visual. But before we get into that, let's address some things. First off, while all of the numbered Final Fantasies are coming back except for 14, this is the Pixel Remaster is basically focusing on the majority of the numbered Final Fantasies, and certain Final Fantasies such as Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 6, and Final Fantasy 7, including the Intergrade, are not getting upgrades on their characters because they don't fucking need them. Seriously, this is for master ability and dream enhancement. There is no brand new enhancements for any characters in the game thus far. So since those characters have already got upgraded recently, there is absolutely no reason for any of them to get any kind of improvements. And no, if you, like, I'm wasting my time a little bit, like trying to address this in a like generally nice way. Like, they're just not getting upgrades. So don't ask, it's not happening. So this is primarily focusing on bringing a lot of the old numbered Final Fantasies up to par. Now, while some people have said, where's Tactics, where's Nier, where's all of this, it's a pixel remaster for Final Fantasy. First off, outside collaborations are completely irrelevant to this, and there is a large number of characters getting upgraded, so probably more than anything, for this update, it's big enough already. It really doesn't need any more girth to it at this point in time. Sorry, Nier people, you're just going to have to wait, and too bad. Next, to do with Final Fantasy XIV and Tactics. Tactics not showing up isn't too terribly surprising, as it's not a remaster yet, and the Tactics remaster that has been leaked, basically, from the NVIDIA leaks and everything, that's basically been confirmed at this point, just because everything else on that leak came true. It hasn't been announced yet, so they're probably saving Tactics for that. And yeah, that'll be a separate thing. So just hang on to your butts for now. Now, as I'm generally getting this stuff out of the way, I'm feeling generally a little bit better. So the last thing is about 14. Give it up. Not to be mean, but 14's characters are really generally just bad by a lot of standards in the game. And I know it's kind of a meme for people to say, well, you forget about Thancred, but Thancred is just absolutely, like, even if you consider, like, in all seriousness, I know there's going to be people who make those comments, and I just don't care anymore. Thancred is a trash character that, by today's standards, it feels essentially like a 70 cost character, and that's being generous because I think he's closer to 60 or a 50 MR nowadays with the lack of limit and whatnot. Whatever's going on between Gumi and the Final Fantasy XIV team, basically 14 is just kept out of the gacha as much as possible, and you know what? I'm gonna say, right on, 14 team. I actually kind of hope that Final Fantasy 16 is the exact same and we never see a collaboration with that character because reasons. So let's talk now that I've got that all out of the way. Let's talk about the characters, and I'll leave a time code so at this point people can jump ahead to this and skip the Umber rant if you didn't want it. So the list of collaboration characters this time is Warrior of Light, Cecil, Rosa, Kane, Golbez, Locke, Tina, or Terror, Celeste, Kefka, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, Sephiroth, Yuffie, Titus, Yuna, Orin, Snow, Lightning, Hope, Noctis, Prompt, and Aranea. All of these characters are set to come back. from May 9th for roughly about a month. And for a chance for people to get these characters, the vision cards that come with these collaborations, and so on. But the big thing is Master Ability 2s and as well Dream Enhancement. So let's go through Master Ability 2s really quickly. So starting off with Cecil, upper HP, basically the light ally bonus, his own slash attack resistance penetration up by 30, slash attack, puts a barrier up that reduces damage at the start of battle for himself. So basically, physical damage is on the menu a fair bit, pushing him more towards Brawler, but the barrier at the start of battle is really nice. These things usually just are so reliable and so cost efficient that it's very hard to hate on this. Cecil just looks pretty good for a Master Ability too. I don't think it's not broken because it's not re-raise, it's not anything like that. Barriers can also just be removed, unlike certain things that are put, in these kind of things. Like a barrier is just set in place from the beginning, and if it's broken, then broken kind of thing. So yeah, it is what it is. Next up, Rosa, maximum HP and basically Ice Allies bonus, self-range attack resistance of 20, and 2 Moon Circle LB is getting improved to a bigger, just changing the shape of the LB. Rosa is so far behind Velis already that I'm not holding out much hope, but I'll try and save most of the commentary about characters for near the end. Kayn is getting the Dark attribute as well as his own piercing attack, power up by 15 and defense penetration of 20. Not bad overall. Golbez is getting hit rate plus 15, so single attack resistance, I do believe, plus 10. Snow is getting healing power plus 15 and own area attack resistance plus 10. Lightning is getting critical damage plus 15% and reaction block rate of 50. Hope is getting area attack resistance of 15 and mental penetration rate of 20. Noctis is getting own attack plus 10%, single attack resistance plus 15, and his limit burst is being enhanced to have slash attack resistance down changes before attack. More in line with what current attackers are, just to take a second to talk about Noctis. Overall, I think that this is pretty good. I wish that his secondary attack was considered to be a slash attack because it would be very synergistic and very good. As it stands right now, yeah, it'll be good, but not quite as good as I want it to be. Prompto will be getting own attack up of 10%, reaction block rate of 40, and acquired AP of 30%. We'll come back to Prompto eventually. And Aranea, critical damage plus 10, piercing rate, resistance penetration plus 20, and own hate down by 3. So that is the list of the Master Ability 2s, and except for a few standouts, mostly it's just stat improvements. Nothing to really hate on stat improvements, but Cecil and Noctis are two ones that I think stand out a little bit more for their master abilities because of the improvements to the rest of their kit in different ways. Cecil just being having a barrier from the start is just cost efficient, and Noctis's limit burst being better just kind of improves a good portion of his kit, if not all of it. So now, Dream Enhancements, and this is where we get into some more details. And after talking about the Dream Enhancement, we'll talk about the combination in a full. So Cecil is getting agility up of 15%, light attribute attack plus 15, and the reward of light is upgraded to add healing power up before large attack, added HP absorption effect after L attack. Honestly, Cecil seems pretty decent from the perspective of just like running a little bit better now, and potentially in combination of his general brawlerness. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. The absorption of in combination with the healing, damage, and agility with barrier is kind of a full package that, dare I say that one more time into the fray, dear friends, of Cecil potentially being interesting enough to be run. Now, he does have a lot of competition in light, but maybe him plus Bartz plus Wing Stern is just a really, really good team. I'm not going to discount Cecil at this point because he got a fair number of upgrades, and as a main character, he's been lacking up until now, so maybe this is the time when he gets a little bit further ahead. Next up, Rosa. Ability activation time minus 40%, healing plus 15. Number of uses of Rise gets increased as well as its range. Now, Rosa, I didn't really particularly care much for her master ability to. Her in Dream Enhancement is at least kind of interesting because she does have a Rise, she does have healing power up, and she does have activation time. Now, I don't really think that Rosa's going to be improving Ice too much more than it already is. Ice generally has good healing and good longevity, especially with Snow, who we'll come around to in a little bit. Arise, I'm not going to say that Rosa won't be potentially good, because with just like a better version of Arise, it might be enough for to be considered, but it always comes back to Velas. If you're looking for a support unit, Velas just is so good right now with healing, and he's still one of the best characters in the entire game. So I don't think Rosa gets there, but Arise's range increase plus number of uses is at least quite notable and makes her potentially have an interesting spot, since Arise is not in Velas's vocabulary. Sure. Next up, Kain. Kain is getting ability attack activation time of 25%, accuracy plus 30, and his dive ability is getting increased in defense penetration rate before attack. So, ability activation time down to 25% is really interesting. It's not as good as Oberyn, and that always pisses me off. To always have this conversation with Dragoons of just being like, oh, it's a Dragoon. His jump attacks. Do they home? No? I'm losing interest. Accuracy up is generally nice here because it can do with something that sure hit evaders have a little bit more harder time of dealing with. And his defense penetration rate, before attack will make him an effective damage dealer. I just don't know if it's enough. Like, timing wise, this still feels really bad. It's not like he's losing all of his activation time. He still has some of it, and 25% is a good chunk, but I'm not sure if it's enough. So I'm going to say that Kain is definitely one to keep an eye on, especially for people who are just looking to use Kain again. There's stuff here. I just don't know if it quite works as well, and in terms of PvP, I don't feel like it will ever be there. I don't know why Oberyn's ability is so unique to him and nobody else, because if that was the kind of upgrade we would be looking here, I would say that Kain is really interesting, since Spear is kind of neglected right now in terms of the game's focus. Golbez. Next, Golbez. Max HP plus 10%, reaction block 30%, Fang of Despair, penetration rate down added, which, alright, interesting. Golbez is becoming tankier. We're looking at extra resistances here in combination with, like, everything on him right now. In terms of his upgrades, feels like it's gone to making him way more defensive, and it's good. I don't know, again, feels like Kain though. Dark is such a competitive element right now for resources. Like, Rafu's amazing, Sephiroth is amazing, and it's just, I don't know, too many good characters before this finally got an upgrade, and I'd still lean towards Sephiroth, Raph, and some other characters before I'd really look too much as Golbez. And that's probably the thing. Golbez versus Raph. Both are magic damage dealers with high defensive capabilities. Which one's better? Probably the one you think it is. Next up, Titus. And Titus, we don't have a master ability too, so we're just looking at his stream enhancement. Single attack resistance up of 25 and quick shot, or quick trick shot. Large own CT up small added. So basically a little bit more tempo. Nothing particularly bad here. Just don't know if it's really enough. Ferris. Like, Celeste is once again really good. Ferris is looking to be quite interesting, and there's so many good water characters that I think the time of Titus has passed a little bit. But hey, Final Fantasy X-2 exists, so we could definitely see an upgraded Titus in the future. Anyway, next up, Yuna. Range attack resistance of 10, magic attack resistance of 15. Kiraga is being changed to in its shape, but not necessarily its activation time. Yuna's still fine, and she still finds ways of getting brought back into the conversation a lot of times. And you know what? I don't hate her upgrades. I don't know if I'd be rushing to upgrade her, though. I mean, if her healing was an insta-cast ability, because it's not, as far as I remember. I do believe that it still has casting time. Then I'd probably be more excited to potentially throw a horn at her. Weird expression, but it makes sense in the context of Wotv. I like Yuna in turn, like in just how many times she can just keep coming back, but I don't know. This just maybe isn't enough to really be there. Auron is getting all attack resistance up by 20, which is nothing to sneeze at, it feels like. Ambush Dragon, a large damage slashing attack resistance penetration up for 3 turns before attacking. Range shape change from cross to rhombus. You know what? Auron actually, I think, came out of this looking really good. Again, large competition in ice, but a lot of attack resistance across multiple types means that he's just good in many cases. And I mean, getting a bigger AoE is also quite nice. So I don't know, it's weird, but Auron got the best upgrades out of all of them. Whether or not he's fully worth it, that's another story. Now next up, Snow. Now healing power up by 15, defense penetration up by 10, and debuff resistance rate greatly up added from his recover, as well as just the fact that in combination between the two upgrades we're looking at a lot of extra healing power and defense resistance. Basically, Snow at this point is essentially going to get a free heal off of his pinch recover and also get debuff resistance up. Basically translating to Snow being in quite a brick wall again. Like, it didn't even feel like he left. Snow might be incredibly interesting on strike combination teams, as well as in just ice again. Like, honestly, I'm still using Snow in a lot of my defense teams and having pretty good results with it. But yeah, free upgrade. Why not? Sure, just hook it to my account. We'll talk about it later. Okay, there he is. He's back on camera now. Next up, Lightning. Still one of my favorite characters, period, in Wotv. Her sprite, animations, abilities, everything. I absolutely, unabashedly love Lightning in this game. Accuracy up by 20, critical hit rate plus 20, Endosphere, which is her large AoE, AP consumption down. Now, in combination with the other ability of critical damage up by 15, reaction block rate of 50, she's quite good at dealing with reaction block units once you just give the rest of what she needs. And then taking a look at accuracy up and critical rate up, which benefits lightning units, I'm really quite happy. Her DPS was always there. She just needed some stuff in some other categories, and I think this is pretty good. This is probably the weakest thing generally, but again, her DPS really isn't lacking, and with extra stats, it's not lacking anymore. But yeah, Lightning, I think is a pretty safe 140. Next up is Hope, and Hope is getting magic power up by 20, agility up by 10, large magic damage increase for his physical enhancement. And we're also getting area attack resistance and mental penetration rate. So a fairly offensive for Hope, which is kind of cool. He has some pretty neat offensive abilities, agility up and whatnot. Hope is still kind of a support unit and an interesting one for the light element. I honestly don't know how to evaluate this one because I don't see much Hope. Wordplay. Sorry. I haven't seen many Hopes on JP in light elemental teams. Really kind of depends, I think, on the numbers overall. Maybe some testing to all with it. But again, light is so stacked for where you're spending your resources. It might just be time to give up. Never mind. All right, and last but not least, Final Fantasy 15. So Noctis, as we've talked about already, has his limit burst enhanced. We're getting physical damage up by 15%, which is good across his entire kit almost. Single attack resistance down for 3 turns before attack, while adding the effect of the pursuit attack. This, I want to see the improved numbers. Noctis is... How do I say this? Noctis feels like Lightning and Cecil having gotten generally just overall better upgrades than some of the other characters. And so main protagonist getting this kind of stuff is fine to me. But yeah, Noctis is one I think to keep an eye on. Also because Earth is just in a bit of a heyday right now where it's doing really well for itself. So Noctis getting upgraded, no complaints at all. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Next up, Prompto. Prompto is getting increased shooting attack resistance, penetration rate by 20, critical rate by 20. Darkness Bullet is getting a large penetration effect added. And Prompto still, none of the upgrades for Prompto feel like they do enough to improve his general kit to the point where he's going to be incredibly competitive. Like, seriously, range 8, the map, always burdened Prompto more than anything else. And I think that's still going to be an issue. On certain maps, sure. Is that worth a UR horn? Well, I'll let the viewer decide, but personally, my answer is no. And last, RNA. So RNA is getting attack ability activation time of 25% down, reaction block rate of 30, and L hit effect, or basically an accuracy effect added to one of her abilities. I don't hate any of this, but much in the same way as Kain, the question is that 25% enough to stop misses? And yeah, it is going to help, but it's still going to feel bad when the Dragoon misses. And much in the same way of Final Fantasy XIV, it can mean death for the Dragoon if they just have this kind of bad luck. So there's good stuff here, but both of the Dragoons, this is something where I'm going to let someone else take the lead on this one. Again, I don't think it's worth it. Which kind of brings us to the end of the video. So thankfully, about the 24-minute mark, we're going to be wrapping this up by me talking about my favorite characters preemptively, just on the data of the batch. And I mean, there's a lot of good upgrades, across a lot of different characters. Nowadays, building all of the characters is kind of impossible and kind of expensive, really expensive. So you may not necessarily want to build all of these characters and probably want to just choose towards your own elements. So since I'm not going to be able to give really a ton of feedback on this, I'm going to say my favorites. Looking at this list, because this is the full list of characters that are getting upgraded. So, my most interested are Cecil, Snow, Lightning, Noctis, and Orin. And the big reason is that Cecil, Noctis, and Lightning, I feel, are all getting quite a bunch of protagonist upgrades here, and looking really interesting to see if it's enough to make them very, very relevant. But I think they should be on pretty well matched with what a lot of current characters can do. So yeah, I'm particularly interested in Cecil and Noctis with their upgrades to see what those numbers look like and if it can push it further. I think that Orin is kind of my wild card here, just because he is, like, I'm curious. I want Orin to finally really pull through and really become a thing on JP. Why not? It's been forever. Let's go. As for the other things going on, there's a lot of noise outside tonight. Kane and Aranea might be more of my wild cards in combination with Rosa, where there's some team, some map, some combination where they really want. But my number one character that I am absolutely going to upgrade as soon as this is available, without checking the numbers, is Snow. Because Snow has had such a good, long history since he has come into Wotv, and now his upgrades to me just look really good towards him just keeping on sort of thing. So yeah, Snow is my number one that I want the most. Cecil, Lightning, Noctis, and Orin are some of my favorites. And I'm not going to say that any of them are bad in this video, because I don't think any of them are bad. All of them could be really interesting in their own right, but they're going to have to prove it, and we're just going to have to see some of the numbers on some of the abilities, and also with how JP's meta is about to shift, because with the addition of Final Fantasy V characters, new bridal characters as well in the month of May, there's more than just old characters getting upgraded, as we're getting a ton of new stuff as well, which will shift which of these elements will be. So thanks so much for watching, take care, and sorry it was so long and I was a little grouchy at the start, but congrats, making it to the end. See ya.